I'm thinking about getting it right so much, I keep f***ing it up. Even when Chelsea are winning titles, the manager's job is never safe. So can you imagine what it's like when you are losing games, conceding a shed load of goals, and can't even motivate your own players? Well, that's the predicament that Maurizio Sarri currently finds himself in at Stamford Bridge. Should Roman Abramovich pull the trigger for the 12th time in his career as Chelsea owner? Well, someone else will need to come in. But who will that number 13 be? Unlucky for some, maybe not for others. In the next few minutes, we've got the names of a former manager, a former World Cup winner, and a former Blues legend, as I bring you 5 potential replacements for Maurizio Sarri at Chelsea, should he be sacked. First off, we have the first of 2 former players on this Chelsea list. However, considering he played just 1 season at Stamford Bridge, Didier Deschamps can hardly go down as a Chelsea legend, despite winning the FA Cup with him back in the 99-2000 season. Aside from this though, he does have one of the most successful playing careers in football history. So for Chelsea to go out and bring someone in with even more winning experience is going to be pretty ridiculous. Alongside Ligue 1 titles, Serie A titles, Italian domestic cups, and becoming the youngest winning captain of the Champions League in Marseille's successful 93 campaign, the only French team to win a Champions League to date, he also has a European Championship and World Cup winners medal with France. If you add this to the medal he got for managing France to their 2nd World Cup title last summer, he is only the 3rd man to win the World Cup as both a player and a manager. So with all that success, why wouldn't Chelsea want to bring him in as a manager? His managerial career in the last 18 years has seen him win 1 Ligue 1 title with Marseille and a Serie B title with Juventus after they were relegated 15 years ago. Alongside this, he's also got a few domestic cups, but it seems at the moment he's just too comfortable with life as a national team manager. Many managers in the past have compared the fact that when you go from the day-to-day busyness of club management to national team management, it can often leave you feeling a bit, well, without much to do, and most of them miss it and eventually end up returning to club football. Since taking the job over in 2012 from Laurent Blanc, Deschamps has been linked with some big moves to Real Madrid, to Chelsea, to Manchester United, and even a return to Juventus. But if Abramovich really can bring him into the day-to-day business of club management, they'll have a fantastic manager on their hand, no doubt. The best thing about Deschamps is his man management style. He'll be able to get the best out of some big players, and even if there are 1 or 2 egos in the squad, he'll be able to manage them as well. After all, last summer at the World Cup, he managed to turn Olivier Giroud into a World Cup winner. That takes some doing indeed, so he'd definitely be a great manager. Next up, and speaking of Juventus, it's their current manager Max Allegri who is next up on the list. Now, with being at Juventus, he is in charge of a fantastic club. They've got brilliant finances, some of the world's best players, and really set to have a bright future. However, could he be tempted to a move abroad? Well, a few press conferences in the last few years may suggest that yes, he is open to testing himself in another country. After all, winning all the time at Juventus and Italy can't really be that fun, can it? After watching his side lose to Manchester United in the group stage of the Champions League this season, Allegri told reporters that his future, well, surely a job abroad would be nice. This, of course, sent the rumour mill into absolute overdrive, obviously because at the time, the wheels were really falling off Jose Mourinho's job at Manchester United. Since then, he's left and been replaced by Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, and it looks as though if he can continue this fine form and his start at Manchester United, the job at Old Trafford won't be open soon, but it could be open at Chelsea. But would Max Allegri really want to move to Chelsea? Well, I think yes. They're not as successful as the Italian giants, of course, but they have got the infrastructure, the money, the club, the stadium, and some really, really good players, and Allegri could be the missing piece to the puzzle. The comments he made after the Manchester United game is actually the 2nd time that he's mentioned a move abroad. At the end of last season, after seeing Juventus win another league title but missing out on the Champions League, he said that when eventually his time in Italy was up, he would love to move abroad and try something new. This to me all points in one direction, that when the right opportunity comes, Allegri will be out of Juventus, and why not with Chelsea, even if it is in the summer. As for Juventus, well, they'll have no trouble in finding a top manager to come and take them over. As mentioned before, with all the players and the money and the infrastructure they've got, they'd be a massive job for anybody, no less Zinedine Zidane. Since leaving Real Madrid, he's been free, and it looks like he is waiting for a big job to come along, either Bayern Munich or at Juventus. To me, this makes complete sense, and if Roman Abramovich can stamp up the money to bring Allegri to West London, I could see this one happening. Next up is our 2nd former Chelsea player on this list, and someone who is definitely worthy of the title of Chelsea legend. During 13 years with the club, Frank Lampard became the club's all-time high goal scorer with 211 goals and won absolutely everything there is to win in English domestic football, as well as the UEFA Cup and the Champions League. He'd pretty much command respect the second he walked into the dressing room, and it wouldn't be hard to tempt him back. However, his managerial career is at the earliest stages, to say the least. Despite doing a good job with Derby in his first season in management, it would be a massive risk to charge him with the task of taking Chelsea back to the top of English football. It didn't work out so well when Newcastle wanted Alan Shearer to help fight off relegation, and as for Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, well, it's working at the moment, but when the feel-good factor goes and he's in a tough situation, his managerial ability may be found out. After all, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's only previous stint in England was overseeing the relegation of Cardiff. Aside from this though, Lampard could do what Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is doing at Manchester United and just bringing back the feel-good factor and the air of confidence. He knows the club inside out, he's enthusiastic, and if you cut him open, I'm pretty sure he'd bleed blue. He could transfer all of this with some tactical knowledge and some know-how around the Premier League to the players onto the pitch, and maybe they'll get back to their best. The only problem with bringing Lampard in is that, as mentioned before, he is a young manager. This may mean that Chelsea may have to forego a few seasons, even out of European competition, to allow Lampard the time to build up and bring through a new dynasty almost at Chelsea. Unfortunately, in recent years, we've seen that Roman Abramovich does not exactly allow this to happen. He wants success, he wants it immediately, and Lampard isn't really going to be given time until he is a top manager. Whilst I see this as the fairy tale appointment, and I'm sure many other Chelsea fans do, I don't quite think it's going to happen just yet, while he's still unproven. Number 4 on this list, and with a return to the Premier League, it could be Brendan Rodgers. He's made no secret of the fact that he'd love to return to England to manage, and with Leicester close to sacking Claude Puel in the January transfer window, he was linked with a return. However, I'm not quite sure that Leicester would be the job for him. Instead, why not move to Chelsea? Whilst he's been in Scotland, he's obviously been demolishing the league. He's a top manager and he's taken charge of the top club side, Celtic. They've pretty much won absolutely everything. In fact, at the moment, he's won 7 out of the 9 competitions that he's entered with Celtic, and the other 2 haven't finished yet. Now, I know what you're going to say. Is Brendan Rodgers really going to go to Chelsea, a potential title rival to Liverpool? Yes, he definitely is. Let's face it, there are much bigger rivalries than Rodgers going from Liverpool to Celtic than to Chelsea. After all, I mean, the likes of Joe Cole, Fernando Torres, and even Rafa Benitez have both been representing both sides throughout their playing and managerial career, respectively. And let's also not forget that before he went to Reading, Brendan Rodgers was a youth coach at Chelsea, so he definitely knows the club. After all, it's not like he's going from Liverpool to Everton or Manchester United or someone like that. He's doing things a little bit differently. Their rivalry just isn't as fierce. If he does go to Chelsea though, Chelsea fans can expect an attacking, high-pressing, fast-paced style of football. However, I'm not overly convinced they've got all the players they need for that, especially with Pedro and Willian aging and Hazard potentially not there in the summer. He may have to bring in 1 or 2 players to make it a Brendan Rodgers team, but I've no doubt he'll turn Chelsea into real title contenders. Lastly but not least, we come to number 5. As should it become reality, it will be the most humongous shitstorm in all of media history should Jose Mourinho return to Chelsea. Yes, he's already been manager twice. Yes, he was sacked and then moved to Manchester United, but is Jose Mourinho the Roman Abramovich kind of manager? 100%. That's why he was brought back. What he does is he takes teams, instills a winning mentality, and then wins trophies. Yes, for the future, he's not so great. He won't bring through youth products. He won't make signings for the future, but what he will do is win. After a few seasons, he'll probably go nuts and get fired again, but they'll worry about that in the future. That seems to be the Chelsea way. As I mentioned earlier, Abramovich has made 12 permanent appointments in the managerial role in just over 16 years in charge. As for Jose Mourinho, well, I'm pretty sure he'd take the job back at Chelsea because we all know secretly, deep down, he does love the club. Yes, he's won titles in Italy, he's won titles in Spain and in England. He's won 2 Champions League titles, but he is Chelsea's most successful Premier League manager of all time, bringing them 3 titles. I just think that this is something that he could not turn down. Alongside this, he's also been rumoured with a return to Real Madrid. However, I'm sure if Chelsea did come knocking and with a bit more money, they'd no doubt be able to bring him back in, even if it's just for 1 season at least. I can honestly imagine, as bizarre as it sounds, Mourinho coming in, winning the title next season, and then by September or November the following season, getting fired again for going absolutely bonkers in a press conference. That is just the Mourinho way. I fucked that up, let's do it one more time. Bonkers. Then the following September or October, going absolutely nuts in a press conference and getting fired once again. This just seems to be the Jose Mourinho way. He's in it for a good time, not for a long time. So there you have it, 5 potential replacements for Maurizio Sarri should he be sacked. I'm not saying he definitely will, but at the moment things are not looking so good for him. But what do you guys think? Let me know in the comment section below whether one of these 5 managers will actually come in should he be sacked, or whether I'm talking absolute rubbish and he should stay. If he doesn't, and if none of these 5 players fit the bill, who should be brought in? Of course, let me know all your thoughts down below. Smash the like button, and you can also click here to check out all of the other videos that we've got going on OneFootball. But until next time, I will see you guys later.